Hi, I am so glad you're here. I have for you something that I think you're going to love. It's a free unit. You can use it in one day or use it over several days. It teaches them how the presidential election works with the Electoral College vote. So how does that happen? They're going to find out step by step what happens in kid-friendly language. And they're going to have access to very easy research on each state. In other words, they'll get to see the voting record of each state if they want to dig in on certain states. And I've done everything for you. There's really nothing you need to do unless you want to. So you can use all of the materials that you're going to get. You can use some of them. You can just use one small part and do the rest your own way. You use it whatever way works for your classroom. I'm just excited to give this to you. So this is something I started 4 years ago for the 2016 election. It was a very partisan year, and I knew I had students voting, or their parents voting both sides, but students naturally take the cause that their parents do. And so I wanted them to all feel safe and be able to do this in a nonpartisan way where they would get to do some research and explore, but have it be fun and exciting and feel like they were part of the history, right? The students are going to make a prediction, and they're going to make a prediction for every single state. And some states will be easier than others because some states have always voted the same or nearly always voted the same. And we're going to do this in conjunction with a website called 270 to Win. Let's take a look at some of these things you'll get. First of all, this is the page that you're going to be using. So you'll just click on the link below and it will take you here, and then you'll click, yes, I'd love to do this. You'll get a confirmation email that you'll click, and then you'll download this. Really easy. So let's look at what those are. We have Read This First, which is all directions for the teacher, whether you're going to do it online or if you're going to do it with paper. It has how to get the files if you're going to use this with Google Classroom. There are 2 presentations that you're going to give to your students. They're basically PowerPoints or using Google Slides to teach students how to use this, and it comes with videos that show every step of the way and teach the whole process. And then there are student documents that are available here, and they're also available through Getting My Files. Let's first look at what those documents look like. So you get your student materials, kids to collect everything, and then this is the last thing they do before the election. This is where they do the majority of their work. They're going to be making predictions here, and then after the election, they'll fill in these 2 rows here. So there's 3.5 pages of predictions they're going to make, and you'll see that it has the Electoral College number there, and then the last 3 elections, how each state, who took those Electoral College votes. That gives you a sense of what they're going to be filling out. This is also available in Google Classroom. So this is new this year. On this one, they're going to be dragging the shapes. Instead of printing it out and coloring it in, they're going to be dragging the shapes there. So you just say, okay, I think Alabama's going to go blue and red. I'm just kind of randomly pulling these over, but they get to make their prediction. So there's where you're going to get your files if you want to do this online, and it shows you how to do it. If you want to know how to assign things in Google Classroom, or if you want to learn a lot of really great tricks to saving time in your Google Classroom, click here, and that brings you to a post I did about ways you can save time in the classroom. These are your files, so that's where you click them. And then let's go to direction. This is what you would show before. And there's a version here, and there's a version, the same version on Google Classroom. So you're going to go through this with the kids. And what this basically does, I'm going through really fast. You're going to show this to your kids, and it basically says that pundits are normally the ones that make the predictions on the election, but that we can be pundits too simply by looking at data and not by just guessing or saying who we want to win, but actually looking at the data for each state. We talk about what data is, and then we introduce to the student that they're going to be the pundit, and it's going to be about looking at the data. And then here starts our first video. They're going to play this video. It's going to show them what each of these things mean, but we're not going to do too much here yet. First, we're going to talk about what our Electoral College vote is, how it's based on population.
They vote for the Democratic candidate. Later that evening, all the votes are counted. The party with the most votes wins all of the Electoral College votes for that state. So what does that mean? Let's say in Texas,
we go through to different examples of how things work, and then we go to the really, really fun part, and that is 270 to Win, which is a website open to anybody. And on this one, you can play. You can click on the state, and you can make it change color. And in the video, we talk about what makes a state a dark blue state or dark red state, which means safe. We talk about what safe means. We talk about the likely scenario and the leans, and then we talk about swing states. Now, we don't want them to just take our word for it. So then we go and explore the States tab where they can look in depth at different states and how they voted in the past. So for example, first we look at a very safe red state, Alabama, and we look at what their voting record was, and we get to see, yes, it's majority Republican. And in the past, they've mostly voted Republican. Then we do the opposite. We look at a typically blue voting state, and we see that that state is getting more Democrat, just like Alabama was getting more Republican. Then we look at the swing state. In this case, we chose Florida because it's so often in the news. And then we see, aha, this is why they call it a swing state, because it goes back and forth. You're never quite sure which way it's going to go. Or it could be a state that is mainly voted one way, but now, according to polls, it's starting to lean the other way, and they're not sure which way it'll go. And that's why it's called a swing state, because neither party can really claim it yet. They just don't know. We even look a little bit at polls. We talk about what polls are, how they get those numbers. So now you'll have your kids put their papers away, and they're just going to play with this website for a little while. They have to do this to get this out of their system. So they're going to click on the states and practice changing color, and then see how the numbers above those are going to change as a result. Then they're going to go to the states tab and look at the data for different states. They're going to want to look at their own state first, naturally, then have them look at a safe red state and a safe blue state. Then have them look at a swing state and see what happens there. And then have them look at states that have other shades of red or blue, so that are leaning or are likely, and see how those numbers compare to the safe states. And this obviously is up to you. If you want them to do it for 10 minutes or half an hour, completely your choice. Then we come back together, and one thing they're going to be saying to you is, wait a minute, there's these two states that are striped. There's Maine and then there's Nebraska. Why are they striped? And you, of course, are going to be responding like, oh, that's really interesting. I don't know. Maybe you can figure it out. But when they come back, you're going to talk about what things you discovered, and someone will bring this up, and then you'll show this slide, and then you'll show this video, which explains why those two states are striped and how the split vote works. And so they, in going forward, can actually try the split vote thing. But if that's too complicated for them, and this is mentioned in the video, they can just go with the regular red or blue. That's fine too. They don't have to do the split vote. But this is great for those kids that want to go a little deeper. Then the next step, they're going to fill out this. So this video goes through that.
Now that you've had a chance to play around with 270 to win, you're going to begin making your election predictions. Pull out your packet. You should have 4 pages that include all the states plus Washington, D.C. As we said before, you have your abbreviation, the state name, the number of electoral college votes. Here we have the results of the last 3 elections, 2008, 2012, and 2016. Now, of course, you can go back to 270 to win, click on the States tab, and go further back. But this is to give you a basic idea of how states have voted in the last 3 elections. When you are ready, you are going to write in your prediction. You can either write in R or D in each one. You can color it in if you have a copy that you printed out. Or if you're using the online edition, you can drag red or blue there. So red would be a Republican, blue would be Democrat. Based on the information, the data that you've looked up, you're taking your best guess as to which way you think the majority of people will vote.
Okay, so they're going to get the directions there. Then when they're all done with that, you're going to pull them back. Now they've got those packets complete, and now they're going to color in their predictions. So first they're going to make this map reflect what they think is going to happen. Go ahead and they click it all. They'll have the numbers appear, which side will win by how much. And then they're going to go to this map. So they're going to go to their election predictions map, and then they're going to color it in to match. So then they're going to go home that night, assuming it's the election night. They're going to bring home their predictions with them, and then they'll get to follow along with the election as long as they can stay up late, or depending which coast they're on. After the election, they come back and you get to show them the after election. By the way, if you send them home with those maps, the colored in maps, I recommend just getting your camera or your phone and taking a quick snapshot of each one, because you will have kids forget them. That's almost a guarantee. After the election, they're going to pull out their papers. You're going to show them this video. And it talks about what happens after the election. So what happens if the Democratic candidate wins? What happens if the Republican candidate wins? We go over terms like incumbent and president-elect. If someone new is voted in, how they will become president in January. And then finally, students are going to take their packets and they're going to color in the last 2 lines. So again, I did this 4 years ago, and I shared it with all the teachers on my team and the 5th grade team, and I think the 3rd grade even did it. And it was really neat, like walking down to get copies and hearing all these lessons going on, the same lesson in all these different rooms. And the teachers were saying what great conversations the kids were having with each other, like really digging into why this was a swing state and which way they thought it would go. So it really gets them thinking. So go download it now. Please share it on social media or send it to a friend that you know would love to do this, because this is a great way to spend Election Day and post-election day. Have fun with it. Email me if you have any questions.